I'm a little bit concerned. There's a lot of people that are talking about violence, and I try to advocate that we need to fight back. And we do need to fight back, but you got to be intelligent about the way you do it. And there's a lot of different ways to fight back. Now, fighting back with violence, that's a real sticky subject. I've said all along, the people who are in the powers that be, this dark brotherhood, the people who are running the world from behind the scenes, these people are psychopaths. And I think I'm going to put up a video on psychopaths because it's very important to understand what psychopaths are. Now, these people are completely above the law. There's almost no possible way you're going to be able to take these people out using the legal system. Now, you can slow them down, and I do advocate anything you can to resist these people. You can slow these people down. I talked to a psychologist a while ago, and I said, how do you deal with a psychopath? He said, you kill them. That's basically the only way you can really deal with a psychopath. They can't be rehabilitated. However, I would like to see some research done to see if we could find ways of, possibly nonviolent ways of dealing with psychopaths. But the problem is, if I sit here and tell you go around killing these people, I'm gonna have a tendency to get idiots and crazy people out there, maybe going to go out there and try to kill somebody. They're going to end up killing the wrong people, or they're going to end up being stupid and they're going to get arrested and go to jail. And I kind of don't want to have that karma on my conscience, If you're going to use violence, okay, make sure that who you're going after is guilty. For instance, the cops pretty much are the enemies of the people nowadays, okay? I know it says serve and protect on their badge and on their cars, but what they don't tell you is the people they serve and protect are the Dark Brotherhood, not the people. They of course they have to do some acts of helping people, and there is a tremendous amount of just plain evil going on in the police. The police are raping, torturing, murdering, stealing from the people. Now, that being said, there are a few good cops who really are trying to make a difference. And if you just go out and just start shooting every cop you see, the odds are you might kill a good one. Now, I'm not at all opposed necessarily to killing some of these real evil cops, like these ones that beat up this. But I don't know that we need to take violence against them anyway, because the guy who's the father of this kid that got killed, he's taken action against it, and he happens to be a cop himself. So something is being done about it, but the odds are, justice isn't going to be served, really. But at least these cops are going to be taken out, and they're trying to make some changes down there. Justice would be to execute all 6 of these cops, as well as the police chief, district attorney, and the mayor. That would be justice. This wasn't an isolated case. This has been going on for a long time. There's a lot of homeless people that have been beaten, tortured, and raped, and a lot of other things. So, and this is going on all over the country. It's a policy. Police brutality is encouraged. And it's because this Dark Brotherhood runs everything. So, if you want to use violence, you have to be very careful. Make sure your targets are guilty, and 2, you got to be smart about it. Study assassination techniques. Learn how to do these things. Do it good and not get caught. Ultimately, that's what's going to have to be done. But I'm leery about saying this to anybody, because very few people have the skills to go out and do this and do it right. Better off doing probably nonviolent things, at least in the meantime. As far as like trying to overthrow the country, the government, and replacing it with a less evil government, that would be ideal. But in order to do that, you need like 10 million soldiers who are trained and dedicated and willing to go out and give their life for this cause, and we don't have that. You start getting a militia together, by the time you get up to 100 people, the FBI and the NSA and everyone's already going to be having an eye on these guys, and they're either going to infiltrate them with COINTELPRO type things, or they're going to go in there and arrest them all. So, I mean, in order to raise an army, you'd have to be very secret about it, but you'd never get to 10 million. Now, you could get a small army, and you could go out there and take out something like Bohemian Grove. I've often think it'd be nice to get some group of paramilitary soldiers go out there and just, shoot everything that moves. Keep the slaves and the alive, and the servants, but everything else. I mean, pretty much anybody who attends Bohemian Grove is an enemy of the country, a traitor to mankind. But getting something like that done, you'd have to raise this army. It would have to be done very secretively. You'd have to have some kind of money and finances. And the thing is, most people, the Dark Brotherhood, the ones that have all the money, and it would have to be raised very secretively, very covertly. Something like that, maybe there are some groups out there that, militias and stuff that are forming, but it's hard. Like George Washington said, it's hard. Militias are not very effective because one thing, they don't get paid. And the bottom line is, you got to eat. If you don't have money, it's hard to get people to go out and risk their lives and risk going to prison, when you're not even getting paid for it. Just on ideal. There are a few idealistic people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for just on a principle, but most people, you're not going to find 10 million people willing to do that, okay? You might find if a couple hundred, if you could find a way to pool them all together and get them all on the same page. And even a lot of them, they may have the dedication, but they don't have the skills, and they don't have the intelligence, and some of them are half nuts, and they're just going to, they go out there and try to do something like that, all they're going to do is they're probably getting themselves arrested, and that's as far as it's going to go. And in the meantime, they can use this as a propaganda tool. Look at these lunatic mercenaries and these lunatic vigilantes, and they can use that to just prove that anyone, that these are all lunatics doing these things. If you do want to get some kind of a secret brotherhood going to fight this, it's going to have to be done very intelligently and very secretively. And the members are going to have to be, you're going to have to be very selective who you let into this. It should probably be multiple levels. The outer levels you don't have to be so selective of, but the inner levels have to be very selective, and the outer levels can't know that the inner levels exist. And the way to get into the inner levels is by invitation only, and these people need to be thoroughly tested, and thorough investigations on these individuals before you'd even approach them to ask them about joining. And you'd need to have people that have high intelligence, but even more importantly, high integrity. You need both, okay? Because people with integrity who are stupid are just would end up screwing the thing up. People who are intelligent but have no integrity are going to screw it up. So you need people with both qualities to be on the inner circle of any kind of a secret society that you try to get going to oppose this thing. But I think ultimately that may be the best way to fight this, is to create a secret society. And it should be, like I said, multiple levels. That way, if the outer circle gets infiltrated, which inevitably it will happen, you still got the inner circles, and you can create new outer circles in practice. Probably be a good idea to have an inner circle that controls several different groups. And nobody knows that it exists. That might be, that's an option for fighting this. Once the inner circle is set up and is secure, then they can start looking for ways of financing and controlling the outer circles and doing it in indirect ways where they don't know they're even being controlled. That's kind of what the Dark Brotherhood does. We need to do some of the same techniques, except their goal is to destroy everything. Our goal is going to be to try to save everything. So, in the meantime, how do you fight back, Well, one of the best ways is like what I'm doing, but not everybody has the skills to go out and put out. I'm a very good researcher, and I'm very good at putting out these videos, and I'm not intimidated easily. And not everybody has the skills to do that, but do other things. Everybody's got different skills. You can fight these people with the legal system to a degree. And that's better than nothing, Protesting can help. Yeah, but it's ultimately it's not going to get rid of this, but it can slow them down a little bit. Another thing you do is put out tracts, and like some religions, they put out these little tracts. They put them in a restroom or something. You can make little tiny tracts and tell them basically about the brotherhood, what they're doing. That's a good way to spread the word. You could even put up graffiti or something, right on an underpass or out in the park or something, that so and so is doing this. There are a lot of things you can do. And if you happen to be somebody who is in the military or a police officer or in intelligence, and you are in a position where you can do things with the legal system, do so. But realize you got to be careful, because if you put your name and face out there, you're going to get attacked. So, and if you could find like-minded guys to team up with, that would be a help, because trying to do this stuff as a lone wolf, if you're going to be a lone wolf, you almost have to do it secretively, or you're going to end up being harassed, persecuted, and maybe even killed. Now, if you have a few people going again, team up together, you can help each other out and protect each other. So there are many things we can do. At least anything is better than nothing. I always say that. You use your own intelligence and creativity, come up with things, because I can't think of everything, but these are just some things I'm thinking of. Another thing, I like this group called Anonymous. They may not, some of them may be infiltrated too, but I like what they're doing. They are fighting back, and they're a bunch of expert hackers, and they're finding ways to fight back. In my opinion, these politicians and police chiefs and other people who are above the law, and since the law is not going to do anything to these people, we need to do something to them. Now, killing these people might be extreme and difficult and risky to pull off, but you can still punish them, I mean, by punishment, like Anonymous harasses these people. They screw with their computers. When these people do things that are, the politicians are doing things that are illegal and unconstitutional, they should be held to task for it. They should be punished. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do. Vandalize their car or their home. I mean, like I said, try not to get caught. Some people might call that passive resistance. Like Jesus said, turn the other cheek, Yes, but Jesus also put a whip together and chased the money changers out of the temple, okay? So we're constantly hearing about this passive resistance, and don't fight back with resistance. I believe that's part of the brainwashing they're using, like Gandhi and the Dalai Lama always saying, don't use violence. Psychopaths use violence. The cops use violence. The police use violence. It's kind of hard to fight psychopaths who use violence without using violence. The campaign of never use violence is only directed towards us, the people, not towards them. They can use all the violence they want. There's a time you gotta fight back, man. I mean, it's good, if somebody crosses you, it's good to try to use diplomacy to solve the problem. But that doesn't always work. Psychopaths, you can't deal with a psychopath using diplomacy. To a degree, you can. You can sometimes deal with psychopaths either through threats or bribes if they believe it, but a lot of times it's hard to threaten a psychopath, especially if he believes he has the upper hand. It's hard. Another option might be to hire psychopaths to go out and kill psychopaths. The problem is, as far as killing these psychopaths that are ruining the world, is most people don't have the stomach to go out and do that kind of thing. A lot of times the only way to defeat a psychopath is with another psychopath. The only thing is about trying to get psychopaths to clean up psychopaths is you got to realize psychopaths will work for money, but they're also devious. And you got to realize you can only trust a psychopath so far. The problem is the whole time they're working for you, they're going to be trying to figure out ways of screwing you over. Don't ever make the mistake of thinking they have a conscience or a soul, because they don't. You can maybe use them to clean up some of the psychopaths, but then you're going to have to get rid of those psychopaths once they've done their job. Until we get a large percentage of humanity awake and realizing that, so we all know who our real enemy is. Until that happens, we're not going to be able to make any headway on this. And that's the first goal, is just getting people to realize who the real enemy is. Then we start working on ways of dealing with it.